Okay, so we have looked at the background and causes of the Japanese earthquake. So the next two things we're going to take a look at this week are the immediate or short term effects and the long term effects. So just to remind you that immediate effects or short term effects are those that happen directly after the earthquake occurs. So usually within 2 to 3 days or within the week of the earthquake, versus the long term effects that can still be occurring in the country years afterwards. So the most obvious short term effect or immediate effect was the tsunami. And we saw in the last clip that the epicenter of the earthquake occurred off the coast of Japan at a subduction zone, and this is why there was a tsunami that happened. Now, any of the clips that are embedded in this PowerPoint, I have for you in the separate folder on Teams, so we're not going to watch them here, you're going to watch them yourselves afterwards. So basically, the earthquake had its epicenter 130 kilometers off the east coast of Japan. It was a very shallow focus earthquake, only 25 kilometers deep, which can sometimes be unusual for a subduction zone earthquake. And this caused a huge vertical movement of the seabed. So the seabed was pushed upwards, and as a result, it then thrust up billions of tons of seawater above it. These then spread out and travelled at speeds of up to 500 kilometres an hour towards the coast. Now, Japan is a developed country, and they would have excellent infrastructure, and they would have earthquake-proof buildings. But what you're seeing here is beneath this wall of water, and anybody know why the water is so dark, practically black? I might leave that one with you. If anybody wants to hazard a guess, let me know. But this is the tsunami wall. So Japan is surrounded on this east coast with seawalls that are supposed to protect her from tsunamis, but the wave was far too high. There is a tsunami warning system. Will I play this? How long does this go on for? Well, I'll just play the start of it. So this is the moment the tsunami hit. There is a tsunami warning center, and they had 10 minutes warning before the waves hit the first town. And this is the concrete seawall that is supposed to stop the tsunami.
All across northern Japan.
Look, I'll let you watch that one yourselves. That clip is separate. What was I going to say there? Yeah, so the tsunami was the most obvious immediate effect, and in its wake it left thousands of people dead or injured. Very, very few people were killed by the actual earthquake. 25,000 people died in total, but 90% of those deaths were because of the tsunami. This is because even though the earthquake was the fifth most powerful in the world, Japan has earthquake-proof buildings, and the shaking didn't really cause much damage. However, the tsunami resulted in, like I said, about 25,000 deaths, 6,000 people injured, and the displacement, or it left 130,000 people without homes. So the immediate effects: one, the tsunami; second was death and homelessness, and then this fourth one is the one I'm going to talk about next. Very interesting one, because it was one of the most powerful earthquakes to have happened this century. I'll come back to that in a minute. We'll go back. Okay, so geophysical. Basically what happened was that the earthquake was so strong that it caused a shift in the Earth's axis, and this made some planetary changes. So basically, you all know that the Earth rotates. This changed the speed of the Earth's rotation. It sped up the Earth's rotation. That's how powerful this was. Now, that to me is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, if you could see me on the webcam right now, my face is just a face of awe. So this earthquake had the power to speed up the Earth's rotation, and as a result, because the Earth was going slightly faster, it shortened the day by 1.8 microseconds. Now, right, 1.8 microseconds isn't massive, but the fact that an earthquake could speed up the rotation of a planet, to me, is just absolutely crazy. Also, what happened was that portions of the coastline dropped, and this would have been because of the vertical movement of the seabed, and because it dropped by about 2 feet, it allowed the tsunami to travel further inland. So if they had built 10-foot high tsunami walls and the height of the coastline dropped, then really those tsunami walls would have only been about 8 foot high when it came down to it, and this would have allowed the tsunami to make much more progress onto land. The other thing that happened was, now there are no icebergs in Japan, but icebergs in Antarctica were affected. So massive icebergs broke off the ice shelves in Antarctica and floated away. And this to me is absolutely crazy. And there's an island off the coast of Japan called Honshu, and this basically moved 2.4 meters eastwards, all in the space of 6 minutes of ground shaking. I'll have some images of those in a minute. Infrastructural damage: 300,000 buildings destroyed, 2,000 roads, bridges and railways, and then the nuclear power plant, which was really the biggie, and I'll come back to that in a minute. All in all, there was 1.5 billion euros worth of damage done. So here, remember yesterday or whenever it was you looked at the last clip, we referred to this as being the triple disaster. So 1, the tsunami, 2, the nuclear disaster, and 3, then the actual recession. Now this here is just a little bit of a clip of swaying buildings in Tokyo, and I'll show you that at the end. But the point here is that most of this infrastructural damage was caused by the tsunami and not by the actual earthquake. And yeah, that's what I've written there. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. These are satellite images of ice shelves in Antarctica, and you can see this March 12th, and then 4 days later. Now these don't look very big, so that's where that bit there was stuck on, and these bits there are now over here. But these are the size of cities. They're absolutely huge. So these were broken off by the vibrations of the earthquake by the time it had travelled to Antarctica. And Antarctica is a fair bit of a distance from Japan, so still very powerful waves at that point. These are just some images. I think this one's quite poignant because you can see, like, already there has been tsunami waves coming in. But here's the next one, and here's the next one. So it's not just one wave, they keep coming. And looking at this, you'll see that they're quite low waves out at sea, so they don't actually look ginormous. And in one of the video clips that you're going to watch, there's an image of a boat out at sea when the tsunami strikes, and that for me is just crazy. And it's just like the boat rolls over the wave. So just keep an eye out for that in one of the videos. There are a number of whirlpool effects that happened as a result of the tsunami mixing with the natural currents, and you'll see here the city's been inundated with water, and this is the whirlpool travelling up through one of the rivers. Yeah, this just absolutely chaos. And you can see here, this guy, a reporter for the local newspaper, swept away while he was taking pictures at the mouth of the river. He managed to survive because he grabbed onto a rope, but basically all these cars being washed away. This is the aftermath and some of the damage that resulted. We spoke about this image already. You look at this, like, the tsunami had the power to pick up houses and put them on top of apartment blocks. Like, it's immense. The power of these waves are absolutely immense. Boats overturned, train completely derailed and thrown off track. Boats just dumped inland, fires break out, houses completely crushed, debris absolutely everywhere. And again, you'll see that these houses have just been pushed and jumbled. It's just like Lego blocks, really, to be honest with you. The airport in complete disarray. Boats just dumped on streets, cars upturned, and this is the point where the river, or the tsunami, has breached the river and is moving further inland. And this is the Air Force base, and a plane is being forced into the building. This is pretty cool, even if it's a bit scary. A boat that's just been dumped on top of a building. And these are containers. Now, they look tiny, but these are absolutely huge, and the size of small buildings just strewn about. And I'll show you this clip here. This is a point at which the tsunami comes down the road. Okay, so you'll see these guys here are starting to realise something's wrong and are turning backwards and are making off at great haste, and followed by the water. Here it comes. Oh, don't know what happened there. Right, let's do that again. Go. And he's getting out of there pretty. Oh Jesus, why is he even still coming? Let's see, a house being carried. Oh my God, go, go, go. It's just relentless. There's absolutely no stopping it. Keeps coming. And like I said, that's coming inland, but eventually it'll go back out again and cause just as much damage on the way out again. Okay, so they are the short-term effects, and they are on page 32 of your booklets.